So we're so fortunate to be here this evening in America with all the changes that are going on in the world. And we're not alarmed, we're not frightened, we're not intimidated, because Allah says of how He created us. He says, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ. Certainly we have created man in toil and struggle. I mean, he didn't intend for it to be easy. As a matter of fact, if things get too easy, look out. Don't get too complacent. We have to continue to keep ourselves under a spiritual regimen. The spiritual regimen that we keep ourselves connected to is the 5 daily prayers. We're constantly getting up and preparing ourselves to stand before our Lord. So this is a process where we become, thank you, sir. This is a process where we maintain vigilance over ourselves, because there are some opposition, there are some uphill battles, there are some struggles, there are some conflicts that we're going to have to encounter. And when we encounter those things, we can't despair. Don't give up. Don't become disappointed. Realize that the challenges are necessary. And when you think about gratitude and being grateful as a servant, it's easy to be grateful when you have a lot. It's easy to say Alhamdulillah when you have plenty of food on the table. It's easy to say Alhamdulillah when some people have rooms this big in their homes for their musalla. In their homes. I'm not talking about for the community. In their homes. Some people have homes like that. Some people have abundance. Some people have servants living on their land, taking care of them. They don't have to cook. Somebody cooks for them. They don't have to go to the store. Somebody goes to the store for them. So it's easy to say Alhamdulillah in circumstances like that. But is it easy when you lose everything? Is it easy to be grateful and appreciative when you don't have a job? When it looks like all the avenues for you to have a job have been riddled with obstacles and difficulty. Is it still easy to be grateful? Well, there's a prophetic figure in the Quran who had all of those things I just mentioned. He had wealth, great wealth. He had power and influence in his society. The first figure that I'm referencing is Ayub. Ayub in the Quran had acres and acres of land. He had horses and cattle and sheep and chickens and all of the crops that you could imagine. He had people working for him. He had a huge family. He had a lot of children. And according to the story, he lost everything. He lost all of his land. The roof on his home fell in and killed his children and all of his children. No one was left but him and his wife. All of the friends that he used to have, because now he didn't have anything, began to shun him and began to encourage him to see that as a punishment from God and not to be grateful, not to be in desire of God's mercy. And despite all of that, he remained faithful. And many of the things that we have experienced, because African American Muslims in particular, we came from a situation similar to Job's, except that we were put in a trial, we were put in a circumstance against our will, and we lost everything that we used to have in Africa. The great civilizations that we came from in Mali and Timbuktu and further North Africa. We lost those things. Our connections with Africa was totally severed from us. We had to be reintroduced to ourselves. To say in the 50s that I'm a child of the 50s, so I grew up in the 50s. I can tell you particular things about the 50s because I experienced it. To call somebody black in the 50s, you'd be ready to fight for saying a person was black. You black. What don't call me black? Why? Because we have been separated from our identity and been made to have a dislike for our own image in the world. Our own image had been crucified. And it was men like Elijah Muhammad, Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, who began to cause us to look at it differently. Somebody woke up Malcolm. Though he came out of a family of nationalists, his father was a nationalist. His family was a part of the Marcus Garvey movement, who was trying to get us to reconnect ourselves back to Africa. And he was influenced by a Muslim by the name of Muhammad Dus Ali. Dus Ali, out of London, had encounters with Marcus Garvey.